October 16th. Here is a progress report, and it's a big day. I'm going to do a quick little reveal here. Instrument cluster is in. It's wired up and mostly plugged in. Everything that's not related to air conditioning is possibly functional. I have not plugged in a battery to it yet, but I have the grounds attached. Added an extra ground to the cluster. Wiring is all set up to the shifter, so when it's in park and neutral, it will start, and when it's in gear, it will not start, as neutral safety switch is active. I ran the new back half harness, which you can't see it under my pad, because I had something to lay on to make myself comfortable. But I ran the taillight harness through the conduit, and it's laying in the back. I didn't route it to the taillights yet. You see it's there. I left the old harness in place, and that's kind of the spaghetti what's left, what goes through the car and the conduit. That will be done when we're done spraying the trunk. I want to put that inside and not get paint on it so it looks correct. I don't want to overspray on my harnesses. But my whole day was just basically working on wiring up the shifter. I test fitted the console and had some alignment issues, which I straightened out a little bit. I believe the rear bracket for the console was welded in the wrong spot, along with Dennis's magic of welding the shifter to the floor, which I've mentioned that before in my writings. Dash pad's in, which that was last week. The bulkhead plug is plugged into the engine harness here, so that's wired and ready to go. So when I hook up the battery, I should have telemetry, properly working gauges, gas gauge, everything should be working fine. Fingers are crossed. Today's Saturday. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this on, come back tomorrow or just plan on next week or not. But really proud of my work today. I've studied a lot on how to put in the dash, and so many quote online guides and YouTube videos talk about installing a harness in the dash and then putting the dash cluster plastic in your lap while you make the connections, but the wires are so short and it's really difficult to do it that way. But I got to thinking, how did the factory do it? And the factory must have had a pre-assembled dash unit sitting on a bench or sitting in a pile or a rack, and they probably had a jig to carry it in, and they set it in place, lined it up, and ran the screws in it all the way around. I'm sure it's a 45-second to 2-minute operation, plugging in the connections and then sending it down the line. For me, that was a solid hour and a half. I guess maybe if I did them one after another, it might be easier. But took a little bit of finagling and loosening up a couple of brackets underneath to get things to line up. I had some interference in the steering column mounting bracket and the cluster, which once I loosened that up, it dropped right in. But all the screws are in place. After all these years, I learned why my dash was rattly, and I had a whole bunch of nuts. I don't know, they're like little clips that go in the sheet metal that the screws screw into to hold the dash unit in. There's a whole bunch of them missing, so I probably had half of them in place. So this is going to be rattle-free. I really can't wait to be able to turn the key and start this car. I'm really excited. Running out of steam today, or I'd probably fit the column in so I can steer it, but I don't know. The vacuum lines from the air conditioning control, since that's pre-assembled in the dash unit, go right in. They went right into place. There's one up here underneath the cowl, and there's one right here. This is the main one that goes to the engine for that supplies the vacuum for the system to run the flaps and such. It doesn't push right onto my carburetor base plate fitting. It's a little bit too small for that, so I need to get a reducer. fitting for that. So no vacuum to the AC yet. Don't have the evaporator in yet. But here's the thing about putting the instrument cluster setup in first, is that doesn't interfere at all with assembling the air conditioning on the right side with the glove box door out and all that. Once the harness is directed in that direction, I can put the heater box on the floor and hook up my control cables and then raise that up into place and bolt it in, instead of putting all that in on this side and then can't get to those connections. So I think I've got this figured out on what order the factory did this in to make this an easier assembly. Kudos to whoever designed this car, and the body lines and the beauty of the car, and the interesting and unique tachometer, and just the layout of the dash is cool. But curses to those people, and public video, I'm not going to curse, but man, that thing is a real awful thing to try to install. It takes time and patience. And somehow I got lucky and did not break it or crack it or bend it or damage it. So I'm very happy about that. Anyway, that's where we're at. Also, hello to my friend Dino. He stopped in. He was in town from down where he lives, and wanted to drop by and have a look at the car. I probably should have did a little video while he was here, but we were too busy chatting about his new car and talking about what I've done on this one. So anyway, there she is, 5% closer. Guess there's one other thing I guess I'll walk over and show since I'm still on video. The door is over here. I'm using it as a bench to hold my parts box, but it is ready to spray the jams. So that the doors and the trunk lid and such will be sprayed with blue on the inner perimeter very soon. That's what I've been told is the next step. We still need to drill and actually fit the vinyl top chrome. It was laid in place, but nothing's been done to fit it yet. There are a lot of studs that need to be installed for the window trim. So I'm waiting on that stuff. Once we get those things done and the steering column in it and the brakes bled, I should be very, very close to being able to drive it at least around the block, or put it in gear and make sure everything works as it should. And I can get in a tow truck and take it over to the upholstery shop for the vinyl top installation and the headliner installation. Things are hopping. Anyway. One last little look. So excited. Anyway.